Welcome to Watch the Book. Today, we present The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, published in 1900. Dorothy lived with her Uncle Henry and Aunt Em in a small gray house in the middle of the vast gray Kansas prairies. The sun had baked the land and bleached the life from everything around them. Aunt Em had once been pretty, but the sun and wind had taken the sparkle from her eyes and the red from her cheeks. She was thin and gaunt and never smiled, startled by the sound of Dorothy's laughter. Uncle Henry worked hard from morning till night, a gray man from his long beard to his rough boots. He looked stern and solemn, and rarely spoke, for he did not know what joy was in his hard life. It was Toto, a little black dog with silky hair and twinkling eyes, who made Dorothy laugh. He was her constant companion, saving her from growing as gray as her bleak surroundings on the lonely prairie. One day, a low wail of wind came from the north, and the long grass bowed in waves. From the south, another sharp whistle answered. Uncle Henry stood up, his face filled with sudden anxiety. "There's a cyclone coming, Em," he called, before running to secure the livestock. Aunt Em's face went pale as she saw the danger and screamed for Dorothy to run for the cyclone cellar. As Dorothy tried to catch Toto, who had hidden under the bed, the house was struck by a great shriek of wind. It shook so hard she lost her footing, falling suddenly to the floor as the world began to spin. In a strange and surreal moment, the house whirled around and rose slowly through the air, carried to the very top of the cyclone. Dorothy felt as if she were being gently rocked, like a baby in a cradle. Hours passed as the house drifted miles and miles away. Overcoming her initial fright, Dorothy crawled to her bed with Toto beside her and, despite the wailing wind, soon fell fast asleep. A sudden shock awakened her. The house was still, and bright sunshine flooded the room. She ran to the door and opened it, letting out a cry of pure amazement at the wonderful sights she saw. The house had landed in a country of marvelous beauty, with lush, greensward, fruit-laden trees and gorgeous flowers. It was a stark and vibrant contrast to the gray prairies she had left behind. A group of queerly dressed little people, the Munchkins, approached. With them was a little old woman in a white gown, who bowed low and welcomed Dorothy to their land, thanking her for her help. The Good Witch of the North explained that Dorothy's house had landed on and killed the Wicked Witch of the East, freeing the Munchkins from bondage. All that remained were 2 feet in silver shoes. Dorothy was horrified, but the Good Witch reassured her as the witch's feet vanished. "The shoes hold a powerful charm," she said, "though its greatest secret is not for me to know. Wear them well, they will protect you." Anxious to return home, Dorothy asked the Munchkins for the way. They could not help, explaining that the land of Oz was surrounded on all sides by a deadly, impassable desert that no one could cross. The Good Witch used her magic, consulting a slate which advised Dorothy to go to the City of Emeralds and seek the help of the great wizard Oz. He was said to be powerful enough to solve any problem. Unable to accompany her, the witch gave Dorothy her protective kiss on the forehead, leaving a round, shining mark. She explained the road to the city was paved with yellow brick and could not be missed. Dorothy put on the silver shoes, which fit her perfectly. With Toto trotting behind her, she found the yellow brick road and began her long journey to the Emerald City to ask Oz for help. After walking for miles, Dorothy stopped to rest by a cornfield. She noticed a scarecrow on a pole, its head a stuffed sack with a painted face. To her great surprise, one of its eyes slowly winked at her. The scarecrow spoke, complaining of being tired of his post. Dorothy, amazed, lifted him down from the pole. The light, straw-stuffed figure thanked her, feeling like a new man on the ground. The scarecrow confessed that he had no brains, only straw, and was therefore a fool. Hearing Dorothy was going to see the great Oz, he asked if he could join her to ask the wizard for some brains. Dorothy readily agreed, feeling sorry for him. She helped him over the fence, and the two new friends, with Toto at their heels, set off together along the yellow brick road toward the Emerald City. As they traveled deeper into the forest, they were startled by a deep groan nearby. Following the sound, Dorothy discovered a man made entirely of tin, holding an axe, rusted motionless beside a tree. "Get an oil can and oil my joints," the Tin Woodman pleaded. Dorothy found the can in his cottage and carefully oiled his neck and arms, allowing him to move for the first time in over a year. Once his legs were oiled and he could walk again, the Tin Woodman was immensely grateful. He learned of their quest and asked if he could join them to ask Oz for a heart, which he desperately wanted. The Tin Woodman explained that the Wicked Witch of the East had enchanted his axe, which one by one removed his limbs and head, all of which were replaced by tin until his whole body was metal. When his body was split in two and replaced, he lost his heart. Without it, he could no longer love the beautiful Munchkin girl he had intended to marry, and now felt nothing but emptiness. The Scarecrow declared he would still ask for brains, for a fool wouldn't know what to do with a heart. The Tin Woodman insisted a heart was better, for brains do not make one happy. Their journey continued through the thick, dark woods. Suddenly, a great lion bounded into the road, sending the Scarecrow spinning with one blow and striking the Tin Woodman with his sharp claws. When the lion opened its mouth to bite Toto, Dorothy rushed forward and slapped the beast on the nose, scolding him for being a coward and trying to harm her little dog. The great beast hung his head in shame, confessing that he was indeed a coward. He admitted that though he roared loudly to scare others, his heart would beat fast with fear at any sign of real danger. Hearing that his new friends were going to ask the Wizard of Oz for brains and a heart, the Cowardly Lion asked if he could join their party to ask the wizard for a bit of courage. The travelers journeyed across a great ditch on the lion's back. He made a terrifying leap, first with the Scarecrow, then Dorothy, and finally the Tin Woodman, landing them all safely on the other side. They soon came to a second, even wider gulf. The Tin Woodman chopped down a great tree to form a bridge. As they began to cross, two monstrous Kalidas, beasts with bear bodies and tiger heads, charged them. As the snarling Kalidas began to cross the tree bridge, the Scarecrow had an idea. He directed the Tin Woodman to chop the end of the tree on their side, sending it crashing into the gulf with the beasts. Finally, out of the forest, they reached a broad river. The Tin Woodman built a raft, but the current was too strong, sweeping them downstream and leaving the Scarecrow clinging to his pole in the river. The lion bravely swam to shore, pulling the raft behind him. Though they were safe, they were far downriver and very worried about their stranded friend. The poor Scarecrow left all alone. A kind stork, hearing their plight, flew out over the river. With her great claws, she grabbed the light, straw-stuffed Scarecrow and carried him safely back to his overjoyed and grateful friends. Their path led them into a great meadow of brilliant scarlet poppies. The powerful scent of the flowers soon made Dorothy's eyes grow heavy, and she fell fast asleep amongst the deadly blossoms. The Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman, unaffected by the scent, carried the sleeping Dorothy and Toto. But the lion, succumbing to the fumes, fell asleep just short of the field's edge, too heavy to be moved. A field mouse, saved from a wildcat by the Tin Woodman, revealed herself to be the queen of all field mice. As thanks, she agreed to help save the sleeping lion from the deadly poppy field. The queen summoned thousands of her mice, each carrying a piece of string. They harnessed themselves to a truck the woodman built, and with a great combined effort, pulled the heavy lion to safety. After their long journey, the travelers see their destination in the distance. At the end of the yellow brick road, a magnificent city of green towers and spires glitters under the sun. At last, they reached the great green wall of the Emerald City. Dorothy rang a bell, and the guardian of the gates appeared, a little green man who was shocked they wished to see the terrible Oz. The guardian explained they must all wear locked green spectacles to protect their eyes from the city's blinding glare. He fitted a pair on Dorothy, her friends, and even little Toto before opening the inner gate. The city was a dazzling spectacle of green marble houses studded with emeralds. The people, with greenish skin and green clothes, stared at the strange travelers as they were led to the Palace of Oz. Oz agreed to see them, but only one at a time on separate days. Dorothy was led to a beautiful room to await her audience. The next day, she was summoned to the magnificent throne room. In the center of the room, on a marble throne, was an enormous head without a body. A great voice announced, "I am Oz, the great and terrible." Dorothy, though frightened, asked him to send her back to Kansas. Oz declared that he would only grant her request if she did something for him in return. She must travel to the land of the Winkies and kill the Wicked Witch of the West, the last remaining evil witch in Oz. The next day, the Scarecrow was called to the throne room. He did not see a head, but a most lovely lady in green silk. She promised him brains, but only after he helped Dorothy kill the Wicked Witch. On the third day, the Tin Woodman entered and saw a most terrible beast, nearly as big as an elephant, with 5 eyes and 5 arms. It promised him a heart only after the Wicked Witch was dead. Finally, it was the lion's turn. He found only a great ball of fire before the throne, which spoke with a quiet voice. It promised him courage, but only when he brought proof that the Wicked Witch was dead. With no other choice, the friends departed the Emerald City and turned west, towards the land of the Winkies. There was no road, and the guardian warned them the witch would find them and make them her slaves. From her castle, the Wicked Witch of the West saw them coming with her, one powerful telescope-like eye. Angry at the intrusion, she blew a silver whistle and summoned a pack of great wolves. The Tin Woodman stood ready with his sharp axe. As the 40 wolves charged, he met each one with a swift blow, defeating the entire pack and leaving them in a pile before him. Seeing her wolves defeated, the angry witch blew her whistle twice, summoning a great flock of wild crows to peck out the travelers' eyes. The Scarecrow declared this battle would be his. The Scarecrow stood with arms outstretched. As the crows flew at him, he caught each one and swiftly twisted its neck, until all 40 lay dead beside him, having protected his friends from harm. Now in a terrible rage, the witch blew her whistle 3 times, calling a swarm of black bees to sting the strangers to death. The Woodman and Scarecrow quickly devised a plan to protect the others. The Scarecrow's straw was scattered over Dorothy, Toto, and the lion. The bees, unable to sting the Tin Woodman, broke all their stingers against his metal body and fell down lifeless. As a last resort, the witch used the charm of the golden cap, her most powerful magic, for the 3rd and final time. She summoned the winged monkeys, commanding them to destroy the strangers. The monkeys seized the Tin Woodman and dropped him on sharp rocks far below. They tore the straw from the Scarecrow, throwing his clothes into a tall tree, and captured the lion with stout ropes. But when the leader of monkeys saw the shining mark on Dorothy's forehead, he knew she was protected by the power of good. They could not harm her, and instead gently carried her to the witch's castle. The witch coveted the powerful silver shoes, but their magic was strong, and they could not be taken from Dorothy against her will. So she made the girl her slave, hoping to one day trick her out of them. Dorothy was forced to do chores in the castle kitchen. At night, she would secretly bring food to the lion, and they would talk in the darkness, trying to find a way to escape the castle's ever-watchful guards. The witch finally devised a trick. She placed an invisible iron bar on the floor. Dorothy, unable to see it, stumbled and one of her silver shoes came off, which the witch snatched up in triumph. Furious at the theft, Dorothy grabbed a bucket of water and dashed its contents over the wicked woman. The witch let out a cry of fear as her body instantly began to shrink and melt away. In a few moments, all that was left of the wicked witch was a brown, melted puddle on the floor. Dorothy cleaned her shoe and went to tell the lion that their long imprisonment was finally over. As Dorothy emerged from the castle, the Winky guards saw her and knew their tyrant was gone. One by one, they lowered their spears, and a wave of pure, unadulterated joy and relief washed over them all. The joyful Winkies, free from bondage, helped Dorothy rescue her friends. A team of tinsmiths worked for days to repair the battered Tin Woodman, making him as good as new, much to everyone's delight. Next, they traveled to the tall tree where the Scarecrow's clothes were lodged. The Tin Woodman chopped the tree down, and they restuffed their friend with clean straw, making him whole once again. Before leaving, Dorothy found the witch's golden cap. Not knowing its power, but liking how it looked, she put it on her head. The grateful Winkies gave them all beautiful gifts for their journey back to Oz. Without a road to guide them, the travelers soon became lost in the vast fields. In desperation, Dorothy remembered the Mouse Queen's whistle and called upon the field mice for help. The Queen of the Mice pointed out the golden cap and explained its charm. Dorothy used it to summon the winged monkeys for the second time, asking them to carry her and her friends to the Emerald City. The Monkey King and his band gently lifted the travelers and flew swiftly through the air, setting them down carefully before the gates of the Emerald City, after a surprisingly pleasant journey. Oz kept them waiting for days. Finally, they threatened to call the winged monkeys, which frightened the wizard into granting them an audience in the throne room. But when they entered, the room was empty. A disembodied voice declared itself to be Oz. As the friends stood confused, the lion let out a mighty roar that made Toto jump in fright, knocking over a screen in the corner of the room. Behind the screen stood a little old, bald-headed man who looked as surprised as they were. He confessed in a trembling voice that he was Oz, the Great and Terrible, and also a complete humbug. The little man, a former balloonist from Omaha, explained his tricks. The head, the lady, the beast, and the ball of fire were all illusions he created to fool the people and maintain his power. Despite his deception, Oz agreed to grant their wishes. The next day, he presented the Scarecrow with a head full of bran, pins, and needles, declaring them to be brand new brains. For the Tin Woodman, Oz cut a hole in his chest and placed within it a beautiful heart made of silk and stuffed with sawdust, which the Woodman accepted with tears of pure joy. For the lion, Oz poured a liquid from a green bottle into a dish, declaring it to be courage. The lion drank it down and immediately felt brave and full of confidence. His greatest wish fulfilled. To get Dorothy home, Oz announced he would build a great silk balloon to be filled with hot air that could carry them both across the desert and back towards the civilized world. "Come, Dorothy!" cried the wizard. But just as Dorothy found Toto, who had run into the crowd, the ropes snapped. The balloon rose into the air, leaving a heartbroken Dorothy behind on the ground. As the balloon vanished from sight, Dorothy collapsed to the ground in tears, her last hope gone. Her three friends gathered around her, not with solutions, but with quiet, heartfelt comfort. It was the Scarecrow who finally spoke. "Wait," he said, tapping his new brains. "The golden cap. You still have one wish remaining." Dorothy, wiping her tears, realized her friend was right. Dorothy used her last command, but the Monkey King sadly explained they could not leave the land of Oz. Their final hope was to journey south and ask for help from Glinda, the Good Witch of the South. Their journey was blocked by a hill guarded by the Hammerheads, who attacked anyone who tried to pass. With no other way forward, Dorothy knew she must use her final wish on the golden cap. From a high vantage point, the travelers get their first look at their destination. In the distance, rising gracefully from the vibrant red landscape, is the beautiful and elegant castle of Glinda the Good. The winged monkeys appeared for the last time. They easily flew the travelers over the hill and, following Dorothy's command, carried them safely to the beautiful red country of the Quadlings, setting them down before the gates of Glinda the Good. Admitted to her castle, they were brought before Glinda the Good. She sat upon a throne of rubies, her beautiful blue eyes looking kindly upon the little girl as she heard their long story. Glinda revealed the silver shoes held the power all along, and you, she told the others, already possessed a heart that could weep, brains that could think, and the courage to face any danger. With a tearful goodbye, Dorothy clapped her heels together 3 times and was gone. If you enjoyed this journey to the land of Oz, don't forget to click subscribe and join us at Watch the Book for more classic stories brought to life. We can't wait to see you for the next chapter.